It all started out so harmlessly, just a passing curiosity that soon grew into something insidious, infecting every aspect of my life like some kind of malevolent parasite. You see, I had always been fascinated by spiders, the way they moved, how their bodies seemed to be made up of nothing more than bones and muscle, and those 8 eyes staring back at me from underneath their thin, hairy carapaces. But it wasn't until I got my first taste of their venom that things truly began to spiral out of control. At first, it was nothing more than a little experiment, born from a mixture of boredom and morbid curiosity. One night, while out walking through the woods, I came across a small black widow nestled among some rocks. With a shiver of excitement running down my spine, I carefully caught her and brought her home with me, keeping her in a jar on my desk. For days, I watched her crawl around her confines, studying her movements and marveling at her alien beauty. And then finally, the moment arrived when I couldn't resist any longer. I took her in my hand and allowed her to sink her fangs into my skin. The pain was sharp but fleeting. In seconds it was gone, replaced by a warm, tingly feeling that spread throughout my entire body. I felt alive, alert, invigorated. My vision seemed to sharpen and my hearing became keener, picking up even the softest sounds from outside. And there, amidst the symphony of nocturnal chirping and rustling leaves, I thought I heard whispers coming from inside my head, soft, lilting words that seemed to be speaking directly to my soul. It was the beginning of my descent into madness. Before long, I found myself seeking out more and more spiders, collecting them from wherever I could find them, under logs, behind tree trunks, deep in the darkest corners of our house. No matter where they were hiding, I was determined to have them, to savor their venom once again. As time went, my dream. She was struggling against my grip, tears streaming down her face as she tried in vain to break free from my grasp. Her voice echoed through my ears, calling out for help, begging someone, anyone, to save her from what was happening. But nobody answered her cries. The room remained silent, except for the sound of my breathing and the rustle of my clothes as I dragged her deeper into the forest. Eventually we reached a clearing, surrounded on all sides by towering trees whose branches twisted and intertwined above us, as if forming a natural ceiling. I pushed Sarah onto the ground, watching as she writhed and flailed, fighting against the sticky threads of web that now entwined her limbs and kept her pinned to the earth below. And then, slowly, I stepped away from her and turned to face my captives, waiting for the darkness to claim them. What happened next I can barely recall through the haze of memory that has since consumed me. All I know is that I was lost in a world of my own creation, one where only the sweet, delicious venom of the spiders called my name and the whispered voices of their ancestors sang through my thought. They spoke to me in ways I couldn't comprehend, telling me secrets of the universe that should never have been known to mere mortals like myself. But still I listened, letting their words guide me towards a future where I would belong to them, completely and utterly. For days upon end I wandered in circles, my mind broken and fragmented beyond repair. Time itself became meaningless in the presence of these mysterious beings who controlled my very essence. There was no food or drink, nor sleep or rest for me during this period of madness, for the need for sustenance was far from my thoughts. Instead, I existed solely to serve my new masters, sacrificing everything I held dear in order to please them and maintain their favor, until eventually, as suddenly as it had begun, the visions vanished, leaving nothing behind but memories of what had come before. Shakily, I pulled. I remember you. Said, confusion etched on his features. You were collecting spiders. Why? His brow furrowed further as he looked past me and noticed Sarah lying motionless on the ground beside him. Panic flashed briefly in his gaze before being overshadowed by concern. Where did she go? What are you doing with her? He pressed harder against the cuff, attempting to pull himself up slightly. Despite my efforts, he wouldn't stay subdued. Frustration boiled beneath the surface. How dare he not understand? He was meant to follow my lead without question, yet here he was trying to disrupt my plans once again. Gritting my teeth, I glanced down at the struggling man. Soon enough, I reminded myself, soon enough everyone will realize the power of the great spider god and bow to its might. For now, though, my work had simply grown too difficult to ignore the potential distraction that stood before me. Summoning every ounce of strength I possessed, I yanked hard on the cuff binding John's hands together, pulling him close to my ear. Listen closely, I snapped, and do as I say. He froze immediately, both physically and emotionally, sensing danger in the tone of my voice. These spiders hold the key to understanding true power. Don't disobey, don't speak unless spoken to, and most importantly, cooperate. The last word hung heavy between us, an unspoken threat lurking beneath its surface. Whether he realized it or not, John knew exactly what I wanted: compliance. With that final statement ringing loudly in his ears, I relaxed my grip ever so slightly, allowing him to settle back into the dirt beneath our feet. Silence enveloped us both, broken only by the occasional creaking of branch or haunt of nearby owl. Stillness reigned supreme until sudden movement jolted us both. Sarah stirred, regaining consciousness far sooner than expected. Confusion colored her face as she attempted to push herself upright. Before I could react, she locked eyes with John, her expression shifting from confusion to terror. "John," she cried out, her voice filled with desperation. "Please, you have to help me. He's lost his mind. He's been doing unspeakable things. We have to get out of here." My heart pounded in my chest as I watched the exchange, fury burning in my veins. How dare she try to turn him against me? I had planned everything meticulously, ensuring that no one would interfere with my divine mission. But now, Sarah threatened to unravel everything. I lunged toward her, my hands reaching out to silence her, to protect the secret of the spiders at any cost. But before I could reach her, John sprang into action. In a swift and unexpected move, he broke free from his restraints and tackled me to the ground. The impact sent a searing pain through my body, but my determination to protect the spiders surged within me. We wrestled in the dirt, locked in a desperate struggle for control. Adrenaline surged through my veins, heightening my senses and empowering me with a newfound strength. John fought back fiercely, his eyes filled with determination and a deep concern for Sarah's safety. With each blow, the sound of breaking twigs and the rustle of leaves echoed around us, as if the forest itself was bearing witness to our savage confrontation. I could taste blood in my mouth, a metallic tang that only fueled my rage further. It was a battle between the power of the spiders and the resilience of the human spirit. But as the fight wore on, I began to realize that I was no match for John's sheer determination and physical prowess. His blows grew stronger, his punches finding their mark. I could feel my strength waning, the venom's influence fading away. Panic set in as I realized that my reign of terror was coming to an end. And then, in a final act of desperation, I reached into my pocket and pulled out a small vial of spider venom that I had kept to the last resort. I shattered it against John's face, hoping that the potent toxin would tip the scales in my favor once again. The venom splashed across his skin, and I watched in horror as his eyes widened, his body convulsing in agony. But to my disbelief, instead of succumbing to the venom, John's eyes glowed with a newfound strength and resilience. The venom had unleashed something within him, something that defied the natural order. With a surge of newfound power, John pinned me to the ground, his hands closing around my throat, squeezing the life out of me. The forest seemed to fade away, replaced by a swirling darkness that consumed my vision. In my final moments, I realized that I had become the victim of my own insidious obsession. As my consciousness slipped away, I could hear Sarah's voice in the distance, filled with a mix of relief and sorrow. "It's over," she whispered. "We're free." And so the forest reclaimed its secrets, burying the horror and madness deep within its ancient roots. The spiders continued their existence, unseen by human eyes, their venom a potent reminder of the darkness that lurks in the shadows of curiosity. And those who ventured too far into that darkness, consumed by their obsessions, are forever lost, their souls tangled in the webs of their own making. For just $3 a month, you can have your name featured in my YouTube videos and descriptions. Not only will you be supporting my channel, but you'll also be immortalized in the credits of my content. If you're looking for something a bit more personalized, consider becoming a $25 a month patron. I'll voice your stories and bring them to life on my channel. Create a special drawing just for you, or even write a unique story tailored to your interests. So don't hesitate. Join my patron community today and help me keep the spooky stories coming. And remember, together we can save each other from the YouTube algorithm. Thank you for your support.